What's going on, guys? I appreciate all of you hanging out, waiting on the stream to start. For those of you stop by catching the replay, though, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on all notifications when we do these live chats. You can take part right along with us. So Mike will be coming, jump in right around the 10-minute mark. We'll do our usual intro. So for those of you that didn't know, obviously in the title, you see the name, you see the gentleman in the picture. That is Mike, owner, operator, perfumer of Day 3 Fragrances. I actually have Deja Vu right here. I went and grab it out of my P.O. box today. The 90s shopping mall artistic fragrance. I'm very eager to check this one out. So we're going to do that live on the stream. I took it out the box as far as like the shipping box. Haven't opened it. Here it is. We're going to smell it together. I have several. I don't have every single offering from the house, but I have several. Bani being my absolute favorite. Mango, papaya, pepper. Ultimate option, niche option for summertime. I strongly encourage everybody to get samples. Try the brand. There's a link down below. It's not an affiliate link. There's a link to the website. If you guys want to check it out, I strongly encourage getting some samples. We're going to ask Mike a few questions. He's got a new release on the horizon. We're going to see what he's willing to share with us about that as well, and just talk about some of the processes behind making the magic that has become Day 3 Fragrances. So before we dive too far into that, though, Assad Zanzibar, the very polarizing, affordable original from Latafa, very surprisingly polarizing. Like I see now, it's a smaller percentage, but I see the it's a scrubber, the it's weak, and I fell for the hype. So I literally, for my sin of the day short, those who didn't see it, it says trash, all caps with a trash can emoji. I fell for the hype on the top of Assad Zanzibar. And then I talk about, oh, Jesus, that's not true. It's actually a pretty good fragrance. Buy at your own risk, I think it's pretty damn good fragrance. I don't think it's the end-all, be-all release of the year, but I think it's pretty damn good. Wife likes it. I like it. I'm wearing it again this week. Performs really, really well on my skin. Super long-lasting. Super, super long-lasting. Not as loud as Assad, but I think that works in its favor because it's not a heavy fragrance. It's a saltwater coconut tropical kind of fragrance. It's super long-lasting. I love it. For anybody that bought it and doesn't like it, I'm sorry. That's how blind buys work. They're not always going to be a win. It happens to me. It doesn't happen to me a lot, but it happens to me too, where I'll blind buy something. It's like, damn it, I don't like it that much. I'm not going to wear it. That's the risk that is blind buying. We're all adults here. Don't go complaining on the internet that you don't like your blind buy purchase. You're rolling the dice with the blind buy people. So with that said, let's get caught up in the chat. I see we're getting a few people in here so far. Make sure to hit that thumbs up on your way in because it does indeed help. Mr. M.A. Styles wearing, I'm guessing that's supposed to be Kenzo because I've never heard of Kenzie. Dan, not the man. What's going on? Listen while at work. Toomey 19 degree. Great fragrance. Good to see you, sir. Givenchy Pie. ATH Supernova for Terrence. Good to see you, my man. Galan L'Homme Ideal. Eau de Toilette for Manny. Great stuff. Cliffy, good to see you. Welcome to the stream, my man. Dame. Dolce & Gabbana KEDP. Nobody talks about that one. I'm debating on getting the Intense. Even though RXL said he didn't like it, I might still like it. Just because Rick didn't like it doesn't mean I won't like it. Shout out to RXL. Because he was in the live chat beginning of last week, maybe. He had tried at Macy's. I want to say he didn't care for it. But a lot of people say that about the EDT and the EDP as well, and I actually like both of those. So I'll probably like the Intense. I'm going to end up getting it probably next order. Next time I order some fragrances, I'll probably get it. Ethan, good to see you, sir. Your own cologne. Lemonade. Eddie, good to see you, my man. Portrait of a Lady. All right, then. Flexing some niche. All right. I'm with it. Frederick Mall. Smelling good. Terrence used we have multiple Terrences, by the way, guys. We have multiple. You're going to see another Terrence pop up and here he is a little bit further down. We've got multiple Terrences in the chat. So good to see all the Terrences that are regulars here on the channel. Ocean Bourbon. Never heard of that one, but good to see you. Gentleman Cologne. There's an argument for that being the best gentleman flanker. I think it's discontinued. I'm not sure. Ross, you're good to love that. You're going to love that. Okay, Deja Vu. That's what people that have tried it keep telling me. We're going to see. Hope all is well. Son of the day, Badi Al-Oud, layered with Skylar Coconut Cove to honor my daughter, Skylar, who passed away a year ago today. Damn, I'm sorry to hear that. I did not know that. I am sorry, so sorry for your loss. I can't imagine what it's like to lose a child. That's I'm terribly sorry to hear that, sir. Sounds like a great way to honor her. And hopefully we can provide a little bit of a source of entertainment for you here today. I'm glad you could join us. You see, sir, Strong With You Leather, such a great fragrance. Such a great fragrance. Man, it's my favorite. I go back and forth with that, and absolutely, it's my favorite. Bleu de Chanel EDP from Marty. Good to see you, sir. The Bishop's in the house. I sure expect it to be a great live stream. Make sure you slap that like. Let them know. Vibrant Vetiver Delight. Basically Sprite in a bottle, in a fragrance bottle. I love it. Cody's wearing Gentleman EDP. Cam, good to see you. Yes, sir. FWO for life. For those of you that are wondering why you've been seeing this FWO stuff on my channel lately, because me and Dedrick finally came up with a tag team name. I forgot who hit us with that. Cam, was it you? Was it you? I think it was you on Dedrick's channel. Or no, it was on here. It was on here. And we're the Fragrance World Order now. You see my New World Order tattoo. That was hilarious. It was a low-hanging fruit that for some reason we didn't think of first, but that's the running joke because me and Dedrick do a wrestling live stream, which we have 3 of them in the works leading up to WrestleMania over the next few weeks. We got a lot of wrestling discussions over on the Sports Desk Live at Dedrick's other channel. So be on the lookout for that. Wearing Leighton, great choice. See, look, I got a lot of wrestling fans so that's an LA Knight reference that Ryan always hits. The let me talk to you. So for Tous Vanilla Oud, excellent choice. And then he hits the yeah at the end. Like I said, for those of you who aren't familiar with wrestling, that's LA Knight's taglines. Let me talk to you in the yeah. Good to see you, Roy. Burberry London. That is a beautiful fragrance. Must be nice and chilly where you're at. It was cold this morning. It warmed up a bit during the day, though. Toomey 19 Degree is kind of like Toomey's version of Aventus. It's got some similarities, but I wouldn't call it an Aventus clone or anything like that. This black raspberry note with this birch water accord. It's fresh water, but still smoky. Interesting, leathery. It's the best. Well, let me rephrase it. When I say best, I mean favorite. It's my favorite Toomey fragrance. Hands down, easily my favorite of the bunch. They got a bunch of pretty good fragrances, but 19 Degree, they stepped it up. I think it's phenomenal. My bottle is literally right behind this. Look, this Maison Alhambra. It's right there. Love it. Pull the cap and sniff it all the time. Sin of the day, you don't know by gatekeeping. So not wanting to let anybody know. You are right to that if you'd like, sir. Dark Orchid. Nuclear. At least for me. Strongest, one of, if not the strongest fragrance in my collection. Don't get the crying. Most spend more on a pizza. You get a bad pizza, you shrug and move on. Good point. Damn good point. Good afternoon. Neroli Portofino, arguably my wife's favorite scent profile. She loves that one. Good to see Silent Rescue and loving it. Rockball Wood Intense. Just got to work rocking YSL Tuxedo. Hell yeah. Good to see you, Kevin. MFK Petit Matin. That's a great fragrance. Smooth Operator with Creed Royal Oud. Justin Copeland's favorite Creed fragrance. Cheers to that. I'm having a great day, sir. Prada Rosa Ocean. Great fragrance. I hope you're having a great day as well. She's the reason I'm into my fragrance journey. It's truly my form of therapy that helps me daily. And that's awesome, man, because you never know what affects people, how, from day to day. And it's good to know that it provides that for you, that's what creates this journey for you. So obviously fragrance is extremely personal to you. So that's awesome, man. I love that you're always here. You choose to be here on a regular basis. You're very active on the channel. Hell, you've sent me I've tried Gucci Guilty Elixir because of you. So I greatly appreciate you, sir. Thank you for being here. It was you, Cam. I thought it was the FWO thing, guys. Ralph Lauren's Polo Black, beautiful mango fragrance. Keith, good to see you from South Wales. Rocking some Brut and loving it. Hey, enjoy what you're wearing, man. Adventures from the Batcave, just getting home from work. Scent of the day's Final Boss is a Final Boss scent. Shout outs to the Rock reference. YSL Ultime. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Another one wearing Vanilla Oud. Excellent choice. Only 36 likes. Let me click refresh. We're at the 10-minute mark, so we should see Mike jumping in here any moment. 43 likes. Well, I mean, we don't have a huge crowd, though. Very, very super niche topic. Interview with the owner and perfumer of Day 3 Fragrances. I don't expect a massive crowd to start out. We'll probably get to our usual, main crowd on this channel, around 100 people. We're almost there now. That's what I expect for this live stream, around 90 to 110, which is pretty much the regulars that come to every single live stream while it's live. So sometimes we get more depending on the topic. Sometimes we get less. But I welcome and appreciate all of you that are here. Aventus for Tyler. Excellent choice. Good to see you, Tyler. Excuse me. Luna Rosa Sport. One of the scents I wear when I'm dealing with a migraine because it's comforting. Basically, Woody Lamal's how I've always looked at that one. Great choice. Just got to the last Sam's Club. I have to walk today. Rocking YSL tuxedo. Snow and okay, that's why you're wearing the heavier fragrance. It's a cold March. Filosofia by Day 3, which that is right here. That's still within arm's reach. I haven't put that on the shelf with its brothers and sisters over in the back. Kix Griffey wearing Royalty by Maluma. Nice cheapie that smells like money. Kix Griffey approved FWO Wolfpack. That's what I'm talking about. Ooh. You're flexing. So for those of you that didn't hear me talk about it yesterday or see one of yesterday's 2 videos, that's one of the Dossier originals that has immediately become my favorite Dossier original fragrance. Ginger and Grapefruit Zing is fantastic. That is immediately my favorite fragrance from them the second I smelled it. Even on a test strip, I was like, ooh. Pink Pepper Ginger Melon is the way the top comes across me. It's so good. Such a good freshie. Prada L'Homme Intense, great choice. Anyone wearing anything from Day 3? We have Filosofia. What else? We had one other. Was it Say Less? I saw somebody else. But Mike, you're more than welcome to jump on whenever you're ready, my man. We're past the point. Let's see. Strong with you. Absolutely. Good day to you as well. I wore Bonnie a few days ago, and Filosofia, La Tacita, and Deja Vu. All amazing. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. London Spice. Okay. Salute to you as well. Good to see you, Edgar. Why EDP to work? Invictus EDT out the shower. Clive Christian, #1 Imperial Majesty. Never tried that. Everybody's saying hello to Mike. I'm pretty confident he'll be there again. RJ's wearing Midnight Whisper. There you go. Been snowing here in Cleveland for 2 days. Geez, Edgar's wearing tuxedo. We got a few people in the chat wearing tuxedo. So yeah, once Mike goes ahead and shows up backstage, we'll go ahead and get this ball rolling, guys. So anybody else have anything before we get started with Mike while we're waiting on him to jump on? Terrence said he's going to wear Bonnie out the shower this evening. Great choice. Again, that's my favorite. That's the one to top with all his future releases. It's going to be hard to knock that one off the pedestal because I love my mango fragrances, and it's definitely one of the best that I've ever smelled. Eric, good to see you, sir. Wearing Leighton Exclusive. Nice chilly day in Michigan. I bet it is. So you're going to click that link that I sent to you on Instagram for StreamYard. Yep. You're going to want to go to the our Instagram conversation and click that StreamYard link that I sent you. That is the invite. When you click that, you're going to show up on my screen down there, and I'll be able to bring you on screen. Really enjoying the Discovery Kit. I mean, he makes phenomenal fragrances. He's the man that blends and mixes. So you're about to hear it here firsthand from his experience with creating these beautiful fragrances. Lil Bo, another 13 for John. Papa Smurf, haven't seen you in a while. How are you, sir? Good to see you. Think about picking up the Discovery set. It's definitely worth getting it. Yeah, it was only. You're such a critic. And I was watching Busted Open, literally before this. And they were breaking down Cody's promo. I thought it was okay. I talked to George Atkinson this morning, Roy, by the way. He was asking me about Cody's promo. It was a little bit more of indie Cody, for those of you that didn't follow Cody when he was away from WWE before AEW. I was good with it. It could have been better, sure. Could it have been worse? It could have been way worse. It was an above average promo, I think. Based on Rock talking about his mom, I think he could have did better. But I enjoyed it. But it was a very promo-heavy Monday Night Raw last night. That is for sure. Good show on Netflix. Physical 100. Good show on for y'all on Netflix. Not familiar. DJ, good to see you. Club Didn't We Limited Edition Parfum. Still gets the people going. It's a damn good fragrance. So, Mike, whenever you're ready, just give me the thumbs up, and we'll go ahead and bring you on, sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we have the man, the myth, and slowly becoming a legend. This is Mike from Day 3 Fragrance.
What's up, Ross?
How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm excited to finally be like face to face having a real conversation.
Yeah, we've never actually had a face-to-face conversation, just messages in the DMs over the years.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's about time. Your viewers probably don't even realize this, but you were the very first like mainstream YouTube reviewer to give us a shot. Like you were the very first ones to put up a review about us. So we really appreciate that.
And I learned to appreciate what you guys are doing right away. The first go around, because La Tacita de Cafe, I'm sure I'm not pronouncing it well enough, but I'm close. We'll go with I'm close.
No, you got it. You got it.
That one very much blew me away, and it kind of immediately became the representation for what the brand stood for to me once I find the one that I like the most. And since Bonnie came around, obviously, I continue to rave about Bonnie. Where La Tacita is probably, because it's an overall deeper fragrance, I think it deserves even more respect than Bonnie. But Bonnie is just such a joy to wear for me in my everyday life. And then now being at the beach, it makes me love it even more.
Yeah, they have two really different vibes. And, you know, one of the things that we're trying to do is have something for everybody. So it just sounds like that's a DNA that just really resonates with you. And we're happy that we have something in our line that just fits you, you know.
Which we'll check out Deja Vu here in just a little bit. I was able to get out the P.O. box today. I wasn't able to get it yesterday. I didn't have time to run by the post office. We're going to check it out firsthand here on the live stream. So, Mike, I would be remiss if I didn't ask what you're wearing today.
So believe it or not, I'm actually wearing, I think, some of everything because we're doing bottling and I'm formulating today. And so I've got all kinds of things over me. I smell like bergamot and lemon and a little bit of pineapple and, you know, some of everything. Yeah.
So it smells amazing in there, right?
It smells amazing in here. It always smells good in here. Like even the trash, like when we take the trash out, I wish I could bottle it and like share it with everybody because even the trash is good.
So Mike, why don't you give us a little bit of a backstory on how Day 3 even came about in the first place?
Wow, that's a long story, but I'm gonna give you like the abridged version here. I was a traveling magician. I was an off-Broadway award-winning close-up magician, and just traveling the world doing big stuff too. I was doing gigs with Flo Rida and Ludacris and Neo and you know these guys and traveling around. And there was a trick in my act where at the end of the trick, I would take a cocktail napkin and twist it into like a rose and hand it to my volunteers like a thank you for helping me with the trick. And what I noticed is every time she would take the rose, she would smell it just by instinct. And, you know, which made me chuckle because I'm like, it's just a cocktail napkin. Like it's not an actual flower. And it became a joke in my show. Like I would wait for them to smell it and I'd say, oh, sorry, it just smells like a napkin. But then I started to think, and I was like, it would be really cool if she smelled it and it actually smelled like her favorite flower, you know? So I started to work out ways that I could make that happen. And so, of course, I ended up with this collection of fragrance oils, you know, one for every flower that I could possibly imagine, because I didn't want to get caught having somebody say the name of a flower I'd never heard of, right? So I'm trying to collect all these. And then I start to realize like these smell really great. Like I didn't know what jasmine really smelled like, or like rose really smelled like. And so that sort of became, it evolved into like a study of perfumery just because I was curious and interested about how it all worked. And I did that for many, many years. And then when COVID happened, I couldn't perform anymore. And I was out of business. And, you know, if you remember, it all happened very quickly.
Yes.
Like, it went from like, oh, there might be something out there, that all of a sudden, like, you know, I couldn't go to a show anymore. So we're sitting around and I'm kind of stressing out. And I'm actually here in my office. And my daughter, she was like 12 years old at the time. And she was sitting with some of the amber bottles that I had around with just different things I had mixed up. And she's smelling them, and she says, "Dad, you should sell these." And I was trying to be a good dad, so I explained to her all the reasons why you can't just open a fragrance house. Like that's not realistic. I'm like, you need money for that. You need connections. You need a marketing team. There's no way we could compete. And you know, like I said, she's like 12 years old, right? And she processes that for a second, and she says, "Well, why do you have to compete?" And I was, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? And she said, well, what if someone just wanted to buy one of these perfumes? Wouldn't you just sell it to them? And I said, yeah. She said, you should just do that. And that's what we did. And that was the start of day 3.
Well, she is sharp.
She,
why do you have to compete?
yeah, she is sharp.
Very, very clever. And then, so tell me about the first official named release and how that one came about.
So we launched with 2 that I had previously made just from sort of like messing around on my own. I'm sort of in my own vacuum over here. I wasn't really in the perfume industry. Like I didn't have any connections, and I'm sort of and I'm an introvert by nature, so I stay secluded. So I didn't really know what modern perfumery was or what was expected of me as a perfumer, because I was just doing this for myself. So we released Del Mar and Midnight Whisper because they were 2 that I had already made. And they started to get some attention. And I said, well, as long as I'm in business, like as long as this is a thing now, the first thing that I want to create for day 3 is going to be a tribute to my mom, which ended up being La Tacita de Café. Mm-hmm. So, and then there's a real quick story behind that too. I don't have a relationship with my biological mom. Mm-hmm. So for a long time as an adult, I felt, this weird thing about, man, I don't have a mom, it's kind of crazy. And so I got together with my wife. We started dating. Her mom sort of adopted me into the family like right away. It's a Dominican family, and so they're all like family oriented.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
stuck me into the family. And then when I would go over her house and visit, she would always sit me down. She'd serve me a little cup of coffee, some brown sugar, a little slice of Dominican cake, and I started to associate those smells with the feeling of like having a mom again for the first time. And so for me, like, a lot of people smell that and go, oh, it's a good coffee scent. But for me, that's the scent of like a mother's love, like sends a chill down my spine. So I wanted to do that for her. And when we released that, it got submitted to the Art and Olfaction Awards, which I thought was funny because nobody knows who I am. But it turns out that these awards, they're judged anonymously. So the judges don't get a thing with your name on them. They just receive a vial that has a number on it, and they just smell it blind. So they don't know what they're smelling.
That's great.
Yeah. Because it's the only reason that we had a chance, Otherwise, we're nobody. So we got an email saying that like we were finalists, and I thought somebody was scamming me because I was like, this is not real, It turns out it was. And the awards are in LA. We're here in Arizona. So I told my wife, I was like, just for fun, let's just head out there and just see what happens. Like, we'll dress up, and if nothing else, we'll be at an award show. I've never been to an award show. I'm like, let's go.
So that's the picture of the 2 of you where you're holding that little award then, huh?
Yeah, that was at the award show where we actually accepted the award. And we were in the artisan category, but they give 2 different kinds of awards, right? So they give 2 artisan awards. And then if there's a fragrance that stands out as being like special, something that's handmade, they also will give an AFTEL award, which is like an excellence in perfumery award. So they announced the first 2 artisan winners, and it wasn't us. And we kind of like breathed a sigh of relief because we were like, oh, good, it's over. Like we can chill now. Like all the stress is gone. Knowing that you lost, you could just enjoy the rest of the night.
Yeah.
And then they announced the AFTEL winner, and they said day 3 fragrances. We were like stunned. We didn't know what to think. I still don't remember the speech that I gave, like accepting the awards. Everything's like a blur. So, but yeah, and it was just off from there. Like it kind of took off without us.
Well, it just goes to show without any marketing, just the creations are that good and original that not expecting anything, here you are, you end up there, you win an award that you probably didn't even think was could be a reality. And then, fast forward since then, how many more additions to the collection and library has been added?
So that was just last year. And this year we're nominated for 7 of the Pinapos Awards, which I think it's a bit of a smaller show, but they're coming up.
Shout out to Jason.
Yeah. And so we're really excited about that. And then we're also in a couple of other things that we're not allowed to say because they're not official yet. Mm-hmm. But that's just within a year. We went from like within a year, just having a handful, just a couple of releases, and sort of we had like a bell-shaped bottle with like a paper label. Mm-hmm. Now here we are 12 months later. We tripled the weight of our glass. We've got the custom caps, and the custom caps are metal. They have that.
Yeah, the caps are heavy.
Yeah. I wanted them to be like if you dropped it on your foot, they put you in traction immediately.
Yeah. This is a bit different because even the previous caps, they were nice, that faux wood look, but they were very light. Whereas this, you don't want to drop this on a toe. It's all metal with just a slight bit, a little insert of plastic.
Yep. Yeah, and then we made it flare out at the top because I like the way when you grab the cap to pull it off, it almost grabs you back because of the shape, So it's kind of like has a nice hand feel to it, which is a nerdy thing to think about, but it's what I do around here, I guess.
So I've been dying to ask, where did the logo come from? Because I love the logo. I always have. I told you that from the start, and you were like, "Oh, I'm making some hats. I'm going to send you a hat." That was like 2 years ago.
Yeah. So day 3 fragrances. Day 3 is a Christian reference. In the Bible, when God is creating everything, it's on day 3 of creation that He creates everything that smells good. So day 3 of creation is when all of your trees, your fruits, your spices, your florals, your greens, your resins, they're all created on that day. So we thought, what a cool name for a perfume company, I
had no idea that was the reference. That's fantastic. I love that. That's awesome.
We don't stand on the mountaintop and like shout it out or whatever, but yeah, that's what it is. And then the logo is just a take on the Trinity symbol. So like if you see like the symbol for like the Holy Trinity, so God, Father, Holy Spirit, it's usually like 3 triangles in a circle.
3 triangles, yeah.
Yeah, we just sort of turned it into a shape that looked like leaves. And then we put it so we made it look almost floral, and then we use that as our logo.
It's a good looking logo. Like it looks great on that hoodie. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, thank you.
I almost wore the hat and the hoodie, and I was like, I'm not going to cheese it up and wear all his logos on.
The hoodie's nice, right?
The hoodie's great though. I love how it's got the different design in the inside of the hood and everything. That's a quality hoodie. Very nice. You definitely spent some money on those.
We had it customized so that the words that are written in there, that's the day 3 scripture. So when it talks about like on day 3, God creates this, and that, like that's what's inside the hood.
I'm gonna have to read it now. I just looked at the graphic design of it, and I was like, oh, that's a nice contrast. I didn't even think, let me read all of this and hold it up. I'm gonna have to read it now.
Yeah.
So now I have to press a little bit.
Sure.
You have an upcoming release.
We do.
Would you care to share any information here today about the upcoming release?
I can share some. Yeah, we're excited about it.
As I've seen a lot of others, that's why it's like, okay, I'm gonna have him. I'm gonna ask to see what I can get.
It's nerve-wracking for me, this release, right? Because every time you do a release, and it's popular, like we did Bunny, and Bunny took off. It's nominated for a bunch of awards this year. We did Filosofia, and it was a big hit at Scent Explorer, sold out for us. So with every release, the pressure increases because at some point you're gonna have a dud. Like that's just
the thing is, you're not going to have a dud. It's just there becomes an expectation with every release, because the more you continue to raise that bar, the more you have to at least meet the bar.
Right.
Because the moment you're right under the bar, you're going to feel like it's a dud, even though it's probably still a great fragrance. It's just not as exciting as maybe the previous release. That's inevitable for every brand. You're going to come across that release at one point.
It's going to happen, yeah. And then the more people talk about day 3, and we're so thankful for all the attention that we get, but we do understand that it's going to create expectations that, like, when somebody finds us new and goes, oh, I was expecting something different, So, but this next release, it's going to be based on the dance bachata. So bachata is the Dominican dance, and it's known as like dance for like lovers, like very passionate. And I asked my mother-in-law about bachata. She was in DR when bachata was like becoming a thing, and she just sat down with us and she was telling us this story about how it evolved. And I was like, wow, man, that sounds amazing. Like, we have to do, because so many of our perfumes are based on Dominican culture. And I was like, you cannot tell this story like any more perfect than with a perfume. She's talking about how when bachata started out, it was only like, you only heard it in the lower class clubs, like in the scandalous clubs, where everything was like dark and dirty and kind of like it was on the path of society. And because merengue was like where all the big clubs, that's where all the bands went for like, the higher end gigs, I guess. So she was telling us this story about how they used to come out of the nightclub and then dance on the beach for hours. And she was telling us about the smells. She's like, you could smell the plants. The sun would come up and the heat would hit the plants, and you could smell the ocean and the greens from the plants. And she said, and then it was breakfast, and breakfast is always, pineapple and guava and, all the fruits from the island.
Oh, it sounds quite tropical.
Yeah, so we started to take all these ideas of like something that's like real dirty and skanky, like the scandalous. We did like leather and oud, and then we're mixing it with like really bright green guava and pineapple.
Ooh, are y'all hearing this?
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Leather and oud with guava and what?
I have something super exciting too. In the new release,
I'm giddy now. This has a shot to top Bani. It's got a shot. It'll definitely sounds like it's going to be more interesting than Bani.
There's going to be a flower in there that's never been used in perfumery before. Like this will be an original note that nobody's ever used.
That I would advise keeping close to the vest till you release.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, that I wouldn't share here.
Yeah.
People, you never know who's watching to rip you off.
There's one of our suppliers who came to us and they said, we've got this amazing oil. It's absolutely beautiful. And it's new to perfumery. And so I was like, well, send me a sample and I'll check it out. Because I figured if it's not been used in perfumery before, it probably smells very aggressive or it smells nasty for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. It smells like lavender and bubblegum had a baby. Like it's beautiful.
What?
So like I'm looking it up because I need to see if there's any restrictions on the use.
You have my interest, sir.
Yeah, it's amazing. So when I look it up and I see the Latin name, I start to research the flower. It turns out this flower only grows in the Dominican Republic. So like we really like backdoored our way into that.
That's great, but I think you're giving too much here because again, you never know. Like this is me caring about the brand. Somebody will research that, you know what I mean? And because you never know what brand owners, smaller companies, bigger companies are watching to rip you off. I can tell you firsthand. I'm friends with several brand owners, including yourself at this point. And you never know who's looking to rip your original ideas off, my man.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. I hope the whole world starts using it because it's beautiful.
Say again?
I hope the whole world starts using it because it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean,
I want you to lead the charge with it, though.
Yeah, we're releasing at the end of May. So it'll be right around the corner.
Man, I gotta say, you have me captivated with lavender meets bubblegum. Then we got leather and oud accords with guava of all things and pineapple and all this fruity tone. Everything about that sounds like it's got real storytelling niche potential, but wearable meets enthusiast level. Like anytime I refer to enthusiast level, like the casual sprayer, the person that'll buy Bleu de Chanel and just wear Bleu de Chanel for 10 years, they might not get it, understand it, or appreciate the way the fragrance smells. Where somebody that's into it, people watching this live stream, for example, probably salivating at hearing some of this. That sounds incredible.
It's what we try to do too. We are adamant about staying really genuine with our storytelling. So everything that we have is really genuinely from us, as far as like being a real piece of our culture and our family. We don't create first and then try to paint the story around it. Like we're creating from like actual scent memories and actual pieces of our culture. And then, but we also try to make it very wearable because it's a perfume. So we don't want to be creative for creativity's sake. Like we can create something that's never been done before and it smells like garbage, and we're not going to be satisfied with that. We want you to be able to take a bottle of D3 and then wear it. So like you might say like, I bought this because it's creative and everyone's raving about it, but we want you to go all the way through the bottle because you're spraying it every day. Like we don't want it to sit on your shelf and just get dust. Like we want to we want you to feel happy. You know that when you step outside, the sun is shining and you smell good, and then somebody gives you a compliment. It just hits that dopamine hit. Like we want to be that for you,
Instant mood boost.
Yeah. It really is. Fragrance will do that.
Yep, for sure. So Mike, while we got you, I appreciate the information you're sharing here today. And would you be okay with taking some questions from the audience?
Absolutely.
So guys, if anybody's got some questions for Mike, by all means, I'll try to grab some good ones here. Let us know what you think. Any questions for Mike from Day 3 Fragrances? Is there I would assume you're constantly working and you're probably lined out for your next couple of releases, which I wouldn't anticipate you to share anything beyond, but is it a safe assumption you probably got 2 or 3 others that you're working on at the moment?
Yeah, I've got one. I've got one other one following this summer fragrance, and this one that we're releasing in the winter is going to be called Aylin, which is my daughter's middle name, and it's going to be for my daughter, like because she was really the inspiration for the company, and she's the sweetest. This kid, she's 16 years old now. She travels with us everywhere. She's a big part of all of our events. She's the model on our website for our clothing line.
Yeah, she models the hoodies and everything, guys.
Yeah, she has a couple of favorite notes, and so what we are doing is I think that we're going to do something ultra exclusive where we take the price will probably bump up quite a bit, but we're going to source some really special ingredients, and I'm going to make a perfume like for my daughter, and it's going to be killer.
So Terrence asks, what are your top 3 right now as of which release from Day 3 fragrances? He wants you to pick some favorite children here.
Whew. Well, yeah, you're right. That's exactly what it is. You know, you just like you. Okay, so I'll say this: I have 3 right now, but they're my favorites because of the weather that we're experiencing.
Makes sense.
So right now, I'm starting to leave behind Filosofia. We are in Arizona, so right now it's getting to be like 80, 85 degrees. Mm-hmm. So some of the heavier scents have got to, move to the back for a while. So Bunny, Say Less, and probably Downtown Deja Vu, rocking a lot of that.
So speaking of, while we have people throwing out some questions, I'm letting the chat get ahead of the game right now. I think I should go ahead and smell Downtown Deja Vu because I've yet to smell it. And for those of you that were watching when I was covering Filosofia, and we were on the website, and it was the first time I looked at this. Just reading the notes, I was like, "Wow, this sounds like a retro '90s mall theme." And then I go to the first sentence of his description, and it's a '90s mall theme fragrance. And I swear that was so genuine, guys. I did not glance and see that at the top. The note breakdown alone paints the picture. You don't even need to read the story to know where you were going with this.
Yep.
It's unbelievable just seeing that. So I'm super giddy. A bunch of people in the chat have told me I'm going to like this. So let's see what we're working with. Great atomizer too.
Thank you. So yeah, the top is really different from the mid. So it's going to take you on a journey. So if you
has that clean cologne, fresh laundered white t-shirt smell that I totally relate to 90s fragrances. Yeah. This is department store like the story tells.
Yeah.
Cottony type of, like a cotton t-shirt, white tee, just out in the air. That's what hits me right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I believe fruit smoothie is one of the accords in the list. I don't get that right now, so I'm assuming it'll transition into that at a different point. Right now, I get very fresh, airy, cottony lavender type, soft, even a little powdery. At the top is what I'm getting here. Very fresh, not suffocating lavender and powder, but not a real soapy type of lavender, more fresh cut, walking through the field kind of thing.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're getting a lot of the dihydromercenol right now. So you're probably sensitive to that. This is sort of magic trick that we used in this formula because in the 90s, every store that had fragrance for the store all overdosed with this material called dihydromercenol. And so I said, well, all right, well, it's sort of a psychological.
That sounds so familiar. It really does.
Yeah. Well, we used it as like a trick because we said, well, if we put a whole bunch of that in the top, it will immediately like flash you. Right. Yeah.
I'm walking through Dillard's because where I grew up, our mall we had Dillard's. We didn't have Macy's. And that's where we would go. I mean, this is back when Ralph Lauren polo and Tommy Hilfiger polos were $44.95, guys. Y'all remember that's 90s. That's what they cost at Marshall's now. Okay, they're like 90 or 100 at Dillard's and Macy's. How times have changed. But this is what that reminds me of because the fragrance area was right next to the Ralph Lauren section. It was literally right across from it. So I always relate fragrance to that. That's one of the reasons I'm such a fan of the Ralph Lauren polo fragrances. I always relate fragrance, especially designers, to Ralph Lauren. Because it's just right there in the next section over, right across the little walkway was the Tommy Hilfiger section. The next to that was Nautica. And then you had Guess. And those of you that are old enough to remember Duckhead. And all these different brands. So that's the reason I'm bringing all this up, because mentally that's what I'm doing, is walking through there right now by smelling this. That's mentally putting me there. So everything you're telling me about the trick to it, it makes sense, because it did transport me immediately to Dillard's.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a modern fragrance. It's very, very wearable, but it does give you that nostalgia. Like it will send you back there. But if you didn't know what the fragrance was supposed to be about, you would spray it and then just love it all day. Like, because it's very wearable.
So I'm getting a little bit of a fruity tone to it now.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit. Now, talk to me about the relation to the arcades that you put in the story for this one, because I don't know how to interpret that through scent exactly.
Yeah,
what does that mean exactly?
So for me, the arcade, I'm old enough to, I was one of those people who was like Friday night, Saturday night, like if you wanted to go out, you went to the mall. Like everyone went with their friends. In the mall that I went to, Eastfield Mall in Springfield, Massachusetts, before you left, there was an arcade, and the arcade had like a cotton candy stand inside. Like you could buy cotton candy in the arcade. And so that's what I did, was I put cotton candy for the arcade.
Because we got fruit smoothie, zesty citrus, fresh new t-shirts. Yes, absolutely. Cosmetic counter, cinnamon buns, suede jacket, and cotton candy is the official note breakdown, with this just wild concoction of accords. And it's not overly sweet. It's not super spicy. You see cinnamon buns, so cinnamon. It's not super spicy, but there is this airy, inviting quality to it in the top. There's a little bit of fruitiness starting to come in, but nothing where I would say it's like a heavy, sweet, fruity tone. Again, I go back to, you see a few different things that would be classified as an assumption of sweet, but I would not call this a very sweet fragrance.
Yeah, it's not overly candy sweet.
There's a little bit, and I mean, you even have a cotton candy accord here, and there's some sweetness, but it's not, again, I wouldn't class it as a sweet fragrance.
Yeah, we tried to make everything really well blended so that nothing pops out and just drowns out the rest. So the sweet is there, but it kind of contributes to the fragrance instead of taking over it.
It's kind of a zest to it. It's got a little bit of zing, if you will. Not really spicy, but it's got that similar appeal. Like when I say zest, sometimes pepper can provide that with citrus. Maybe that's what you mean by zesty citrus here, because it is a little zesty. It's got a little bit of that. Zing might not be the best word, but I think you understand where I'm going with it. Okay. I do like this quite a bit. This is up there. This is something that's much more wearable for me than La Tacita de Cafe. Mm-hmm. That's a bit more situational. This has Bonnie wearability for me.
Okay, yeah.
So naturally, this is going to go right behind Bonnie. This has jumped up to number 2 for me from the house.
Well, especially where you're at in Florida, you know, the heat, like that fresh, nice.
Because I'm a 3-minute drive away from Feet in the Sand. It's literally right there. Like if I wanted to walk, I could have Feet in the Sand in 20 minutes.
That's nice, dude.
You know,
that's really nice.
Point being, the more airy type of profiles really suit my daily life for most months now, especially now. I mean, we're full-blown spring break with, you know, every 20-year-old on the planet at my gym in Chipotle right now.
Must be driving you crazy.
I was awful today. I walked in the gym. I looked at the girl working, and I dropped an F-bomb. And she's like, I know, spring break. She thought the same thing, because it was literally like I was the old man there at 39. It was just a bunch of 20-year-old dudes in groups of 3, 4, and 5. And I mean, there must have been 50, 60 people at this gym. This isn't the biggest gym. 50, 60 people is packed at this gym. By the time I left, it was me and 2 other people. Thank God. Like I finished my workout. I was able to just cruise around and do what I needed to do. But it took me a while because there was so many people.
Hey, you're like 50 days out right now, right?
It took like 20 minutes for me to get a Smith machine. Yeah.
You're like 70 days out from your contest.
73 days. 73 days out today. Pretty happy today because I'm down 3.4 pounds from my last check-in from 5 days ago, because I checked in with my coach today. Wow. So I was very happy, because I was only down 1 pound the previous check-in. So because I was keeping a 2 pound per check-in pace before. Mm-hmm. So kind of upped my cardio on my own a little bit and just like really dialed into, you know, every single gram being exactly how it's supposed to be measured for every meal. And it made a difference. it definitely made a difference. And I get a high carb day tomorrow, so I'm on cloud nine. I get to eat. I get to have, a couple Cadbury eggs as a cheat. I get my protein pancake, that, Kodiak flapjacks. You
Yeah,
familiar with those? I love the double chocolate ones. That's it's super healthy and full of whey protein, but it's like a cheat meal to me.
yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. I can only have that I get a high day like every 10 or 11 days.
Okay.
So I look forward to that day because I get to eat more like a normal human on that day.
Yeah. You got somebody watching your macros for you?
So I don't track the macros. Everything's just weight. I don't even know what my caloric intake is. I've never cross-referenced my meal plan with what the macros actually break down to. I pay my coach for a reason. She is a winner with a proven record. What she tells me to do, I do.
Do what the boss does. Yeah.
There's a reason I pay her. I pay her well. She gets a few $100 a month out of me. So I'm paying for the expertise. I'm following the expertise. I'm not questioning it.
There you go.
Any knowledge I had in the past, I'm just a coachable blank canvas. Tell me what I should do.
That's the way to do it. That's smart, man. That's smart.
But guys, I would say if you like Bunny, now this is a different personality, but if you like the fresher side of profiles, you might want to give this one a try, especially if you're, middle-aged guy like me and Mike, where, you remember going to the mall in the 90s, like we were just talking about. This is a very nostalgic profile for any of you that haven't tried it. But if you're going to buy samples from day 3, if you're going to go, I would say go the discovery set route or get a few samples, because there's too much great stuff going on in here to just try 1 or 2 fragrances. I would advise trying probably 5 offerings from the house. Look through some note breakdowns, see what speaks to you, and just build a cart. Mike, is that code still active? Do we still have a little bit of time left?
Yep, the code is still active. Also, anybody that goes and buys a discovery set for $35, we automatically send them a $35 off code for whatever bottle they want. So it's almost like getting your discovery set for free. So
there you go.
And that's back to what I said about when you get a bottle from us, we almost don't really want you to blind buy it, because we want to make sure that you absolutely love it. So we try to make the discovery sets as appealing as possible, so you can try everything on your skin. And then that way when you get a bottle, you'll be like, yes, I love the scent. I'm going to wear it. So yeah, that's why we do like the free discovery sets.
So I love powdery. Now, I wouldn't call this a powder bomb, but this is getting a bit powdery on my skin. The cotton candy accord starting to come out a little bit more. I'm loving this. The way the powdery tone, like the reason I'm saying it's the cotton candy accord, because I feel like I'm smelling actual cotton candy, like that fluffiness.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting that light sugary sweetness, not overly done, but that fluffy feel, the texture to it, if you will.
Plus in the mid, that's the cosmetic counter coming out, because as you walk by the cosmetics counter, you get that powdery kind of iris. Makeup and the skincare lines.
This is such a 90s fragrance. I've said 90s in a bottle on many different things. Tommy, Aqua de Jo, all the typical culprits for 90s fragrance. But this really embodies that whole theme of going to the mall with your friends, going to the movies, hitting, pumping quarters in the Street Fighter 2 machine, whichever version at the time you were playing a Street Fighter 2. And so on. X-Men, the arcade game, the Ninja Turtles, all the classics.
Ninja Turtles was my jam.
Yeah, it still is my jam. I have the Cowabunga collection on my PS5. I've been playing on and off.
90s on purpose too. It's not even accidentally 90s. It's like intentionally 90s.
Yeah, it's intentionally 90s. And I'm such a 90s nostalgia buff. I really am. I still like to wear the same things from the 90s. I like to listen to the same music. I was listening to 90s alternative rock on my playlist today. Just 90s. And this is me.
You're the same age as I. I'm going to ask you a question, because I'm a 16-year-old, and whenever she's listening to music, I'm like, music is trash. I'm like, what are you listening to? I'm like, my day, that's when we had music. But then I'm like, oh no, now I'm that old guy, because I remember old people saying the same thing to me.
That's exactly what I was going to say, is we sound like the old guy as soon as we say something like that.
That's us now.
Because I literally, when I had my little rant about the 20-year-olds with the crop tops going to the beach, 20-year-old dudes that cut their shirt in the crop tops at Chipotle the other day, and I was in the live stream telling everybody, and I was like, I had my moment, and I was like, oh my God, now I know what the old guys were saying when we were wearing baggy stuff with shorts below our knees and stuff like that. Like, I'm the old guy now because they look stupid. You know, it's funny how everything's a circle. Eventually you become that guy, you know.
We're there.
So let's get back to some questions. I'm sure we got quite a few piled up at this point.
I'm ready.
All right, let's see. How soon will the new release be releasing?
So we're going to go to Budapest, and we're going to launch this in Budapest. So, and it's going to be June 1st or May 31st. It's going to be right on that weekend. So there's a niche store out there. It's a huge niche store called 7 Cents, and we're doing a big launch party out there. And then it's going to be available for everybody. We'll probably do pre-orders. So if you want to get your hands on the bottle before they sell out, they will probably sell out. Look for a pre-order in the next probably 30 days or so.
There you go. Some great information for you guys. Clifton asked, can y'all meet up next time he's in Arizona?
Meeting up. Yeah, let's do it. Like anybody. Please come to Arizona and let me know. Like I want to.
Have you ever had a conversation with Clifton?
I haven't, and when I was still doing magic, he came to Arizona and he was eating at a restaurant that I was performing at in the banquet room, and we missed each other, and I found out after the fact. So that's a small world.
I've known Clifton for about 5 years or so now. Salt of the earth. He's awesome. He's in California, so he's a little bit of a drive from you, but clearly they go regularly enough to where he's wanting to meet up next time. Clifton has one of the most impressive niche fragrance collections I've ever seen in my life. His fragrance shelving is like something remarkable to look at for anybody that's really into this as a hobby. It's like, holy shit, look at the stuff, the just exclusive and more obscure niche fragrances that he has. He's got some stuff that you'd be like, how did you get that? Because there was a stretch. For those of you that are familiar with the waffles on Facebook, he had a hot streak for like a solid year. It's the raffles they do on Facebook, and he was killing the game with some of the fragrances he was getting. And then he'd have a backup bottle, and he'd swap that with something else, and he just built this crazy collection, man. So that's enough of telling you how great you are, Clifton. We're moving on. So let's see. Tomorrow, I have a chemistry test about benzoin and aldehydes. Haha. So not a question, but interesting. Yeah. Will the 10 ml be available for bachata?
Yeah, we're going to do 10 mLs. I think we still have a few 100 mLs. Those are really limited. Once they're gone, they're going to be gone forever. But I think we have a bunch of those in stock right now. So,
Andy asked, is there going to be any passion fruit day 3 fragrances on the horizon?
I don't know, because it hasn't come up as an inspiration yet. So we try not to go for like a trendy note or like look for a note and create a story. We're trying to be as genuine as possible because we really think that translates. So there's a little tiny bit of passion fruit in Bunny. So there's that. But I don't know if we'll have a passion fruit forward fragrance soon.
Okay, that's fair. Then Kay asks, any green type of fragrances dropping this year? I love green fragrances. Green is the new blue, which is kind of fair. Green is the new trend.
Yeah, this upcoming release is going to be very green.
There you go. So bachata is going to be the one to keep your eye out on. Okay.
So and bachata is it's a working title. We think that we're going to change it up. It might drop as a different name, but the inspiration is bachata.
So the next fragrance in general is the one.
Yeah, guava is very, very green. If you cut open a guava and stick your nose in it, it's like a very tart green. And there's the guava accord that we're using is extremely realistic, photoreal.
There you go. Yeah, he uses very, very high quality raw materials, guys. It's nothing not niche. And I don't just mean the storytelling aspect of it, but the quality here. Most people relate in this community, relate niche to quality. Very much so. There's a reason they're not $20 fragrances. They use this good original stuff here, guys. So let's see. Mike just wanted to say great job on Midnight Whisper. It's fire.
Thank you very much. If you like the bottles and you don't have one or you need a backup bottle, get it soon.
Also, it's making its way out.
It might be on its way out.
There's a little bit of info. So if you're a fan of it, you might want to get another bottle, RJ. So here we go. Kara says, what is the name of the fragrance with oud and leather he's talking about?
That'll be the next release. I don't think we have an official name for it. We might be working with the name Escandalo. So basically like scandalous.
There you go. So that's the green tropical guava fragrance that we were just talking about, Kara. It's also going to have leather and oud in it. And I think that's what makes it so interesting. It's tropical fruity, but it's got these heavy animalics, interesting choice to go that route. I'm very eager to see, because there's just hearing that it's got potential to be your best fragrance, or best meaning favorite. I go over this every time I say best, because ever since I put that video out, I got to make sure to stay consistent to let people know when I say best, I mean favorite.
Sure, yeah.
Because there is no best in a subjective, opinionated space. There is no best.
Right.
Everybody's best is different, you know? Mm-hmm. So let's see. He said, y'all watch Ross's face. I'm very animated. I can only imagine what made you say that, Dame. So let's see. Do you guys ship to Europe, Switzerland specifically?
Really, really soon. Really soon. We've been doing little beta tests where every once in a while, if you jump on our site and you try to get it shipped to Europe, sometimes you'll get a yes, because we're doing like little beta tests. But I apologize to everyone who's been yelling at us to ship to Europe for so long, but you know, the restrictions and the legalities and oh man, all the bureaucracy, you have to jump through flaming hoops to get anything shipped to, you know, anywhere overseas.
That's exactly why George is having to open specifically in Europe and fill in Europe, because it's a nightmare to go from here to there.
People don't understand. They don't realize it. Why won't you just ship me a fragrance? I'm like, it doesn't really work like that. You know, there's a lot of laws, and yeah, it's crazy. So, but very, very soon, John, we are definitely working on it for sure.
Let's see. Deli has an interesting question. Any advice for someone that hopes to be a perfumer one day?
Yeah. Stay away from the Facebook community. that's
Facebook's terrible. The only reason I still have a profile is because some of you, that's how we communicate, and you guys really wanted to have the group back when I got rid of the old group. Like, that's literally, I'd delete Facebook today if you guys would be okay with it. I can't stand Facebook.
You know what's happening on Facebook is there's something I call DJ syndrome, which like in the 90s, like there got to be a point where everybody was a DJ. Like, what do you do for work? Like every person that answered you, I'm a DJ. Like, you know, they would go out and they would get themselves a business card first, like before they even knew, you know, what it whatever. I'm a DJ. Like everyone knew a DJ. That's happening right now on Facebook in Perfumery. We're like idolizing perfumers. And so there are a lot of people who are like, well, I want to be that someday. Like, I want that attention for myself because that sounds cool. And so there are literally people on Facebook who are purchasing the name, like domain names for Fragrance House, and then telling people like, my Fragrance House is coming. And they haven't even tried Perfumery yet. Literally, no exaggeration.
I believe it.
And it's that's a really terrible trap to fall into, because if you fall into that and then you do your best to release a first fragrance and it's not good, you're going to be stuck with that reputation. It's going to follow you forever. So what I would say is stay away from that community and work on your accords and really work on your basics, so that when you eventually do launch and then you release something, it's going to be of quality. And then, because your reputation is everything.
That's fair. That was a great, well thought out descriptor on what to avoid. That's great. I'm glad you told everybody that, Dilly. I'm glad that you asked, because
it'll save you a lot of pain.
I agree more about once you get that reputation, especially creating perfumes, you're only as good as your first release.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it is with perfumers. You're only as good as your first release, not your next release.
Yep.
So let's see. Awesome. One season. Let's see. Let me find another good question. I know we got some more. What's your favorite part of being a perfumer?
Recently, it's the ability to stay really introverted and kind of work in my own environment, being artistic for myself. We have the lab here is equipped with sound and with light, and then we'll put on music, and I mean, it's obnoxiously loud. Like the neighbors like absolutely hate us, and we just create a vibe, and everyone that's working here is either like dancing or like throwing a little party. Like I've got my niece and my wife will be just like going crazy in the other room, and you know, it's just having my own environment where I can be artistic in my own space, I think. And then the ability to splurge with getting stuff in all the time. It's like Christmas, you know, I'll open up a box and it's like a special jasmine from a special place in India. Or, you know, we got a kilo the other day of vanilla absolute, but it's from Papua New Guinea, and it's from like a very special like vanilla farm That's a whole other story. I was like, vanilla farm, that's crazy. But it's amazing. And so like every day is like Christmas, like the UPS guy drops off stuff and it's like opening a box of treasure. So,
I bet that is fun, getting a new oil, a new raw material that you haven't worked with before. I bet that is fun.
yeah, it's pretty dope, you know, and you can only really do that as a perfumer because the business pays for it. If I had to pay out of pocket for this stuff, I couldn't. Like, I got this. Hold on. Sit.
See how excited you get. I love the passion. I love the passion. This is the kind of stuff I want to see, and I hope you guys are enjoying that too. This is what you want from a brand and a perfumer.
So like I just got in just the other day, like a really special jasmine sambac absolute and a rose de mai. And a rose de mai comes from a particular place in France. It's only grown at a particular time of year, and it takes an obnoxious amount of rose petals to get even just an ounce of this oil. So like getting these, it's a couple $1,000s for these bottles. And this is
see how small those bottles are, guys.
Yeah, and they're only
just a certain percentage that he's going to use in a blend and all that,
Yeah, both of these are going to be in the summer release, by the way. So I'm using jasmine sambac and rose de mai in the release, and they're going to be natural.
There you go. If you had to throw a percentage on the naturals on average across the releases in the brand, what would you give a rough estimate on?
Yeah, I'm so excited that you asked me that question because I'm going to rant right now. Are you ready? You really can't put a percentage on the naturals in a perfume overall because it's going to depend on what you're going for scent. And what people fail to realize is the power of some of these naturals. So I've got, for example, all right, the jasmine that I've got here. If I put more than 0.4% jasmine in a fragrance, it's going to be nuclear. Like it's going to jump out and squash the entire rest of the formula. And so when you put something in the notes and you say, I'm using jasmine sambac absolute, sometimes you get people online who have no idea about perfumery. And they go, yeah, but it's a very, very small amount. Well, yeah, because it has to be balanced. Like you have to produce something that someone's going to wear. I mean, I could be a hero and put 2 ounces of this into a fragrance. No one's going to wear it because it's going to be garbage. It's going to be disgusting.
Terrible, bad wearing experience. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it depends on the natural too, because some naturals are stronger than others. So, for example, with Silent Rescue, the vast majority of that fragrance is natural, but we're using very, very fine resins from like Oman. We're using like the highest quality incense, and they're overdosed. So when you spray it on, you get incense, poof, flies off. I think the most of what we use for natural, like percentage-wise, is bergamot, because it blends so nicely with all the other citruses and with the rest of the formula that it's very, very easy to use even in high percentages. So Downtown Deja Vu, I think, is more than 10% bergamot, which is that's a lot. It's a lot of bergamot. But yeah, so it depends on the natural. It depends on what you're going for. And less doesn't always mean that it's a lower quality fragrance. Less just means that that's what we needed to use to balance the fragrance.
Because that was the reason I asked that was to get, I knew you were going to go a certain way. I didn't know exactly where you were going to go with it, obviously, but my point in asking that is there's always going to be synthetics in every fragrance.
Yeah.
No fragrance. Let me say this, almost no fragrance, because I can't confirm there isn't a fragrance that exists, is going to be 100% natural materials.
You can't do it. You can't do it because your fragrance, if it's going to project, it has to have alcohol. And in the United States, you cannot purchase pure alcohol to use for perfumery. It has to be denatured so that the person that's buying the perfume can't drink the perfume. So there's a chemical right there that's in the alcohol that's used in the perfume. So it's not going to be 100% natural, first of all.
So under no circumstances can it be 100% natural.
Unless if you're a really tiny house and you've bought a special license to use non-denatured alcohol, but then it's like, what are you doing? Are you just proving a point? Like, why? Yeah. And then there are certain naturals that you can't use because they're toxic to your skin. So a lot of people say, well, is your fragrance natural? And if you tell them, well, no, I use synthetics, they automatically assume like this is bad. But like you can't put grapefruit oil on your skin because if you go out into the sun, it will burn your skin. It's terrible.
It's so acidic.
So you have to use chemicals that mimic the scent of grapefruit oil so that it's safer for the person's skin. And then also what we do is we'll take something like a rose oil and you can pull certain molecules out of it, like phenyl ethyl alcohol, for example, which smells like rose and is part of rose oil. Sometimes you want to isolate it so that when you're working with a fragrance, you go, I want a little more of this and a little less of that. So it changes the rose. It gives you like a different flavor, a different feel to the rose. So those are all different chemical manipulations. People say, well, do you use chemicals? Rose has 300 different chemicals in it, just naturally.
Fun fact, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so you're made out of chemicals. I'm made out of chemicals. The water that we drink is H2O. So so sometimes I think people just get carried away with the vocabulary. You know, is something natural? Does it have chemicals? Is it clean? And we're not really careful about how we define those things. So we just have to be careful about how we define them, so that we can make consciously good decisions. Because I think a lot of people, if they're asking for a natural fragrance, they're not necessarily asking about the chemical composition of it. What they really want to know is is it good for my skin? Like, if I spray it on, is it a bunch of stuff that's going to burn my clothes up, or is it bad for my system? That's what they really want to know. And the only way they have of asking that is it natural?
Because guys, when it comes to a lot of heavier synthetics, there's higher quality synthetics that can be used as well. It's I'm not going to sit here and say Parfums de Marly is the highest level of usage of such thing, but they get a lot of heat for being heavily synthetic smelling. But when you smell it compared to others that have a similar profile, it's usually the better smelling fragrance. It just comes across like it's a little higher quality, even though they're using mostly synthetics. So maybe that's not the best example, but it's the one that came to mind. But Mike, I appreciate you dropping that knowledge. That's definitely some stuff I didn't know, for sure. Let's see if we can get another really good question for you. What would you recommend for a 22-year-old male hairstylist that works around women all day? I'm trying to gift my godson a fragrance. So not exactly something day 3 related, but an interesting question nonetheless. You want to weigh in?
Yeah, anything with a lot of vanilla. Anything with a lot of vanilla. Vanilla is just a very attractive fragrance to most people. And so if you want a large, buckshot compliments, vanilla is the way to go. We use quite a bit of vanilla in downtown Deja Vu. It's just one of those things that just smells warm and inviting and comfortable. Citrus is nice and it's very, very fresh, but sometimes citrus rubs people the wrong way. So if you do a cologne, it's a lot of lavender, bergamot, you're not going to get as many compliments. And it's all subjective too. It's all subjective. It's a beautiful smell. I love it. But I'm just saying, if you're working around women all day, you can't go wrong with vanilla.
I agree, because I love that you brought up vanilla, because this is exactly why most of these mid-level designers make vanilla heavy fragrances.
Yeah.
I would say 7 out of every 10 designer releases is based around vanilla or tonka bean.
Yeah, give the people what they want.
Give the people what they want. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right. And that's where the redundancy conversation comes in.
Yeah, you got to sell perfume,
That's for sure. Not available in the UK. Really want to try this house. Eventually, it's coming. It's coming.
You can reach out to 7 Cents in Budapest, and they stock our product and they ship. So they may be able to ship to you from where they're at.
I appreciate that, Ryan. He was one that was saying I was going to love Deja Vu, which I keep going back to it. Nice. I do quite like it. It's very much my type of style. So we already answered that. So we're pretty far behind. Let's see. So Climatic with $10 super chat. I appreciate that, sir. He said, my wife and I met Mike and his wife at Scent Explorer.
Cool.
Sophia in Silent Rescue.
Very cool. Yeah, we love Scent Explorer. We love meeting people, getting to look people in the eye, shake their hand, and seeing the look on their face when they try something is a whole different thing than selling online.
Well, I know you've gotten pretty close with my buddy Dave over the last couple of years. So Callie's Groom Room.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's fantastic. What a sweetheart. I love that dude.
Yeah, Dave's great. He has nothing but glaringly positive things to say about it.
It's like one of the guys in the
Scent Explorer. He's got some pictures and he was doing some stuff with you guys and all.
Yep.
Let's see. All right. $5 from John. I appreciate that. Mike, do you dabble in other fragrance houses? If so, any favorites?
Yeah. So I love exploring everything, trying to get my nose on everything to see like what other perfumers are doing. And, you know, just because I love fragrance. And so Parle-moi de Parfum is a fragrance house by Michel Almerac. You can find them online. And Michel Almerac did Fahrenheit. He did the original Fahrenheit. He did a bunch of other like super bangers. Like the guy is an absolute legend. And his son opened a fragrance house, hired his father on as the perfumer, and then just told him, go nuts. Like, make what you want, call it what you want. And so it's a really underrated house. You don't hear a lot about them, but their fragrances are beautiful. And what I like about it is just so you can feel that it's coming from the artist. Like you can feel he wanted to make this.
What's the name of the brand again?
Parle-moi de Parfum.
Parle-moi de Parfum. I've never heard.
Yeah, they're French, very minimalistic, and everything's made by Michel Almerac. He's awesome.
I'm going to have to look into that.
Yeah.
And you're talking about classics like the original Fahrenheit. That's all-time great right there. That's the stuff of legend, the original formulation of Dior Fahrenheit.
Yep.
So thanks for the super chat, John. Let's see. Scrolling down. Oh, so correct me if I'm wrong, but the code does not stack.
Right. Yeah.
With the 35, right?
Yeah. When you spend 35, you get 35 off, so it ends up being free anyway. So
yeah. So you can't stack the 20% off plus the 35 coupon that you're going to get from the Discovery set. So, but thank you for asking, Terrence, because I'm sure others were wondering that as well. So let's see. Did the 3 10 mLs I got might come with the coupon?
The 310 mLs do not come with a coupon. Only the Discovery set comes with a coupon. But the 310 ml pack is discounted. So if you were to buy them each separately, it would have cost you more. We have like a 310 ml bundle where you can save a bunch by getting 3 at a time.
So Andreas asks, as a perfumer, do you like to compete with other perfumers or just do your own thing?
You have to do your own thing because the moment you start considering other people's work against yours, you're putting restrictions on your art that are artificial. They wouldn't normally be there. So you have to start with something very genuine and then complete the project in a very genuine manner because your end consumer is really going to feel that. It's going to make your perfume special. And there are times that I'll create something, and then when I'm done creating it, I'll say, I can't bring this to market because it smells too much like this, or it won't perform well with that segment. But those are separate hats. Like as a perfumer, I have to just stay to myself and create from my soul first. Then I have to take off that hat and then put on the CEO hat and then determine what's going to sell. But no, I enjoy the work of other perfumers, but I never let it influence my own work.
It's the right way to be. That's commendable. So where are some good places to buy raw materials?
Oh boy, I think if you Google, there's a perfumer supply house in Connecticut, and tell Christine I sent you. She's a tremendous person. Her prices are very fair. She carries everything. She's extremely easy to work with, and like Callie's Groom Room, she's like one of those good people in the industry. She's like the sweetheart. You would love her.
So here's a loaded question, multi-parts, but all one larger scheme, basically. What really determines the quality of a fragrance? Is it the amount of naturals you use in it? Is it the oils themselves? Is it the smoothness of it? Is it the blend or just the overall scent?
So a lot of
your take on this.
A lot of those are the same. So the overall scent, the smoothness, the blend, I would say that's probably one thing. So it's gonna be the skill of your perfumer and how you relate to the inspiration he's creating. And then as a third category, it would be the quality of the materials. Your perfumer is going to be able to give you a smooth, beautiful blend, generally speaking, no matter what the quality of the materials is. Because if you smell something, let's say I get a lavender and it's like really harsh, then in my mind, when I'm creating and experimenting with that, I go in knowing that this has a harsher, sharper smell. So I create with that in mind. So I think it mostly comes down to your perfumer and then how you relate to his inspiration. Because if you can identify with it and it makes you feel a certain way inside, then to you, that's a better smell. And to you, that's a higher quality. If you just don't get it, if it's one of the things that you spray and I just don't get it, it's going to be a terrible quality for you. Now, as far as quality of the materials, there are places that a good perfumer or a good perfumery house should go to get higher quality materials, because you want to give your best to your customers. So we're always like looking to improve and sort of upgrade everything. I mean, everything from the bottles to the materials that we're using for packaging to the materials inside the fragrance. We just recently, here's something I haven't told anybody. We just recently upgraded our citruses, and we're using a supplier that was not available to us up until recently. And this supplier also supplies the top end citruses from France and from Italy to the big houses that I can't really name. But
so I can guess which of these flavor houses it is. I won't put it out there to put you in a spot to make a facial expression or anything, but I have an idea. It's one of a few places that I'm familiar with. That's awesome.
Yeah,
though, that you're basically you're sourcing from a flavor house now.
Well,
with documentation and everything.
We're sourcing from a guy who buys from farms who supply to some of the biggest fragrance houses that make the really expensive stuff.
I have an idea where you're going now. Yeah. That's congrats, though. That's mainly the reason I'm pointing this out. Congratulations, because that's big.
Thank you very much.
Day 3.
Yeah, and we weren't expecting it because, relatively speaking, we're still a very, very small house. They should have no bother with us, but I just think that if you're
I'm congratulating you, because it's not easy to get in with
yeah, I mean, if you're upfront with people and you're real with them, and then you like them and they develop a relationship with you, you'd be amazed at the doors that open. As long as you're not, be nice to people. It pays off.
Well, I mean, I love everything about the whole design of the brand, the mission statement, the energy and the aura that you guys put out with the way you present yourselves, the way the fragrance creations and the stories and just everything.
Thank you.
Everything about it. So it's only natural that good things are going to come to this brand and to you and your family. It's only natural that that's going to be the way the order goes out, There was something else I wanted to say. I lost my train of thought because I wanted to say that first. Maybe it'll come to me in a bit. But as far as my relation to this question, for me, it comes down to the realism, not just the quality of materials. Like, does this smell like a certain type of vanilla that I can relate it to specifically? Does it smell like I'm cutting into a lemon? Or is it, is it too tart? Or is it overly sharp? Do I smell the rind of the bergamot? Is it a little bitter? Or is it just really fresh and juicy? So that's going to tell me this is a more natural bergamot, or this is a synthetic bergamot. So that's what it comes down to me, is the notes that I can depict, or what I think I'm smelling anyways. Does it relate to a more photorealistic interpretation of what I'm smelling? And if the answer more times than not is yes, for a majority of what I'm smelling, that's when I start saying this smells of quality. That's what I mean when I say it. As somebody that's constantly sniffing and reviewing, obviously it's a totally different experience for me versus this man who's literally working with these materials on a daily basis. His nose is well matured beyond what I'm doing. I've smelled a ton of different things, but not in the manner that Mike does. That's a
really good point, though, because when you smell something and you can relate to it and it pops out to you in your head as being as special, and then that fragrance is special and high quality to you. It kind of goes back a little bit to what we were talking about when we were talking about the chemicals, pulling certain isolates out to shape the way something smells. If you take rose and orange, you just throw them together in a beaker, even if they're very high quality oils, you won't necessarily get something that smells like roses and orange. So it's a perfumer's job to say, okay, I want the smell of orange and I want the smell of a realistic rose. When I put them together in a blend, what do I have to add or take away so that the person smells that? So we use art form. Yeah, it really is. It's a lot of patience. It's a lot of experimenting. It's a lot of willing to burn through a lot of really expensive oils in like an attempt to get to a certain place. But once you've achieved that, it's almost like magic. It's almost like being a magician, because once you achieve that, you kind of have like that little secret, like you can file that away mentally. Like, oh, I see, if I do this and I do that, it's like it creates this illusion, and then you go, okay, that's going in my mental Rolodex. So when you create a fragrance, you have all of these tricks up your sleeve. You can little this, little that.
I'm smiling because you said your mental Rolodex. I say the same thing.
Is that right?
It's in the Rolodex. I say the same exact thing. I literally said it a couple of days ago on a live stream. I don't say it that often publicly, but I've always used that one, the mental Rolodex. That's us showing our age, talking about Rolodex.
Yeah, probably. What's the Rolodex?
Rolodex isn't a thing anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they still exist, but nobody uses them. Mike is dropping gems. I couldn't agree more. Mike, I'm so glad you came on to do this today. This is a wealth of knowledge that you're sharing. That's all self-taught as far as I'm aware of. Is that fair?
Yeah, kind of. So I went through like a very traditional training as far as like the process of learning, but I went through it alone. So all of the chemistry books and all of the textbooks and everything that all the perfumers use, I've been through them. I just didn't have a teacher to sort of. I had to hold myself accountable.
Well, being your own worst nightmare as far as being a critic is a great thing. It's a great problem to have.
It can be. Yeah.
Now you can be overly critical of yourself, but if you can find the right healthy balance of it, you can really pull something great out of yourself. If you can be the right critic to yourself.
Yeah.
So sealed secure, it's TLTG 20 will save you 20%.
Yeah, we'll do a couple weeks on that too, so it'll last for another few weeks. So
okay, so he originally set it for about 2 weeks, a little over a week ago. So apparently he's extended it for you guys. Yeah. And look, that's no affiliate code of any kind. I don't get a kickback. That's just something to help you guys out for wanting to support the brand. Let's see. And I would assume you email that with the order.
The email, yeah, it goes out via our system. Sometimes it'll get lost in the spam folder. So if you can't find it, just shoot me an email and I'll give you a code.
So let's see. Mike, what's your favorite from Day 3 fragrances for each of the 4 seasons? If you had to pick one per season, it's a great question.
Yeah, that's a good question. Probably Bunny for the spring. This new one is going to be my favorite summer release. I can already tell, but for right now, Del Mar for the summer. Probably La Tacita for the fall, and for the winter.
There you go. Which one for the winter?
Filosofia.
Filosofia, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Del Mar, I need to revisit because once I smelled Bonnie, I was like, this is it for me for summer, Whereas I think Downtown Deja Vu might be a great spring option for me. This is the one I would pick for spring.
Well, it would work well. And again, like you were saying before, these almost feel like my children, right? So it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard.
You're picking a favorite child over and over is what some of these questions are.
Yeah. I mean, I literally release these because I love them so much, that I love it so much. I'm going to release it. So it's kind of hard to say like, what's my favorite, but there's some general ideas for you.
Metal Frag content. Good to see you, sir. He won one of my giveaways. So I was talking to him via email this morning. We're getting him confirmed and set up shipping for one of the giveaways. So Andreas has a question for me. Waited all day just to ask me this. Azorochrome Aqua, does it smell good and last long? The funniest thing about that is you didn't have to wait to ask me. All you had to do was type in TLTG Chrome Aqua in the video review when it came up in the search bar, my man. I got 2,800 plus videos. So for me, that one is very grapefruit heavy aquatic, but it's also got a bitter tea note. This mate note really stands out to give it kind of this undertone of an herbal quality. So aqua in the name is very fitting, but that tealish green color to the bottle is also fitting because it's more of a green aquatic because of the way the mate comes across. And performance for me kind of falls in that 6 to 8 hour range in longevity. Average type of stuff in projection, hour and a half, arm's reach. Nothing crazy long lasting or as far as the heft of the projection. It settles into, you get a light little whiff once in a while once it becomes a skin scent. Not a phenomenal performer, but not a weak performer either. But thank you for asking. Perfumery is almost like a painter experimenting with colors.
I heard somebody say that perfumery is like learning the piano, but every time you touch a key, the sound changes because you're dealing with a lot of chemical reactions. And so every time you add a new material into a beaker, you're causing more chemical reactions that can cause a really unexpected thing. And so it's almost like you learn all the notes, and then as soon as you start to put them together, they all start changing on you. So there's a whole lot going on. But I guess that's a good analogy too. Yeah, it's very much like experimenting. Little this, little that, see what happens.
So Jonathan says, did you ever create a fragrance by accident? I think he means while experimenting and you're like, hey, this works. I don't need to add anything else. I think that's kind of where he's at mentally with that question.
Not for a release. There are some good things that I put together and they surprised me the way they smell, and they sort of made their way into my notebook. So we would call those accords. So if you have 3 or 4 materials and they all kind of come together and they smell like something else, that's an accord. And so there are a few accords that I kind of hit on by accident during an experiment. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up accords.
I
have a question. Would you care to explain your process for creating a leather accord?
For creating a leather accord? Wow.
Because there is no leather oil. I've told people many, many times, because not everybody's aware of that. You don't make an oil from a cow's skin. You just don't. It's a collection of notes to create an accord. That's why we have so many different ways to smell leather in a perfume. So do you mind shining some light on that? Sure,
yeah. So let's see. We could just call this an accord for anything, like as general process. Okay. One of the very first things that I do is I'll go online and I'll look at scientific studies for what they call headspace GCMS. And all that means is if you take something and you put it in a jar, the space between whatever's in the jar and the cap, that's referred to as like the headspace. That's the air that's in between. And then they can take the chemicals in that air, they can break it down. They can tell you what chemicals those are that make it smell like that. And so that's the first place that I start, is a scientific study of what chemicals are in the smell. Because a lot of those I already have in the lab. It's I can't really move the camera, but there's
that's fine.
There's probably 1,500 chemicals back here that make up the smells of different things. So I'll start there, and then there's things that people expect out of an accord that aren't necessarily in the smell. So I really like using oud for my leather accords, because there's something about that dark smokiness that lends an animalic feel to the leather. Mm-hmm. Some other things I like in a leather accord: balsams. A lot of balsams, like Gurkhan balsam is really good in a leather accord. And what I'll do is a number of different experiments to see where it's, oh hi baby, where a smell would go, and then just sort of work it from there. And then keeping in mind that everything is going to change once you put it into a fragrance. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times you have an accord and you feel like, wow, it's perfect. And then you drop it into a fragrance and then the smell of it is just changed completely, because you caused a lot of chemical reactions that you didn't expect. So once it's in the fragrance, then messing with it while it's in the fragrance. So it's kind of a multi-level process. Yeah.
I appreciate you explaining that, because it's something that I touch on from time to time when leather comes up in these live chats. And I always bring it up when leather gets mentioned, because I'm trying to spread that word, because not everybody knows that's not actually a thing. And there's so many, I don't, obviously I'm not a perfumer and I haven't created any leather accords, but I know there's so many different ways to create leather accords. That's why there's so much variety when it comes to that, and why so many people have become a fan of the leather fragrance, the leather dominant fragrance, because there's just so much that can be done there.
Leather's beautiful. I'll tell you a funny story. There is no intentional leather accord in Philosophia, but it's listed in the notes because there's a resin in there that a lot of people pick up on, that when it's mixed with cypriol, it has a leather nuance to it. It can smell leather-like. And there's cypriol and there's Gurkhan balsam in Philosophia, 2 naturals. When we brought it to Scent Explorer, I had just listed the notes that I intentionally put in the fragrance. And every person that picked it up was like, wow, that leather is beautiful. So we added leather to the notes because people are picking up on it. And so, but there's no intentional leather accord in.
So it's happy accident. It came across leather.
Yeah.
So here's one from Esteban. Any plans on going to the Dominican Republic for more inspiration and ideas?
Yeah, we'll be there in the fall. Yeah, my whole family's from there. My wife's family. I'm sort of that's my family now.
Oh, that's your family. You're
Yeah.
married into the family. That's your
A lot
family.
of them are in Bani, which is where the inspiration for Bani came from. And yeah, we're going to take a few trips to go out there to work with some people out there. They're doing really exciting things with fragrances, but also just to visit family and have fun and live life.
Don, I appreciate the $10 super sticker. Love the Batman avatar that you have right there. He said, have you tried Double Vanille from Guerlain? I personally have not. Have you tried it?
Yeah, just recently I went to a store and tried out all the Guerlain lines. And
I love the bottles.
the bottles.
Line.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, I haven't gotten around to trying them yet.
I heard that it was like the ultimate vanilla fragrance, and I didn't find it to be so.
Have you tried Vanilla Sex from Tom Ford?
I did. I wasn't.
I liked it a lot.
Really?
I wouldn't mind getting a 30 ml.
I like the fragrance, but
how much it costs.
It didn't feel very vanilla to me.
See, it came across very cool vanilla to me.
Really?
You know, that synthetic that they created for it, this whatever absolute kind of vanilla it was listed, one of the 3 vanillas.
Yeah.
I actually quite liked it. I found it very pleasing, powdery, cooling kind of vanilla. I really liked it.
Yeah, I think they used veretraldehyde in that, which is beautiful. Fragrance was good. I think I was expecting something more because of the price tag.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was Tom Ford. It's going to be super expensive.
I was expecting it to like run me over and like I was going to be mind blown. And
no, it's actually a very simple fragrance for what it is.
It was,
but I quite enjoy it. But that's the thing. Like I wouldn't need more than 30 ml. Like I would probably only need like 10 ml. Yeah. But it's outrageous what they cost.
Yeah, I thought Baby Cat was better as far as like vanillas go.
Oh, Baby Cat.
Yeah,
I love Baby Cat.
Baby Cat's really good. It's really good.
Big fan. Big fan. I've heard burnt rubber from people. Always ask me, does it smell like burnt rubber to you? I get where they're coming from, but I don't think it smells like, peeling out tires on the concrete kind of thing. I was wearing Del Mar last week at work and had 3 different patients ask me what I was wearing, and they said I smelled amazing, not too strong, but very uplifting and relaxing.
Nice. Very nice.
Have perfumers actually tried to make a natural leather accord from actual cow?
No.
I don't think so. I mean, who's to say what's been done behind the scenes in the world and history? But
yeah,
I would like to think not.
You could only really start from a palette of what the government will let you have.
Yeah.
So there's like IFRA restrictions and safety and health restrictions. There's only certain things you can put on your skin. Then you have a bunch of different fragrance companies that are creating new synthetics all the time to give you different things to work with in your palette. So going right to the natural source, I think the closest you would get is taking a piece of leather that smells the way that you want it to smell and doing that Headspace GCMS study of
what's in the air from it.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Mike, do you make personal fragrances for people if they wanted something uniquely made for them?
I've done 2 or 3. I don't really advertise it though because the cost is stupid. It wouldn't be worth it for you.
Yeah.
I like
individual fragrance.
They're for people who like you have the money and you just kind of want the novelty of like Mike made this special for me. But if I was going to be completely honest with you, if you were going to spend that kind of money on a perfume, you'd almost be better off going to a store and trying things until you found one that you really loved, and you'd save a whole bunch of money, and then you already know what it's going to smell like. So
it's fair. So I like how Ross talks about fragrances with notes, and Mike just knows the whole math and chemistry behind it. It is a nice back and forth. I got to say, I'm enjoying this quite a bit.
I call that nerdy.
Yeah. I love it. No, this is insight that people that are really into this want to hear. I love hearing these things and talking. It's a continuing education for me as somebody who likes to try different things and, ways to look at it when approaching sniffing different things and essential oils and so on. So I appreciate the education that you're giving us here today.
It's great fun for me too. I love talking about this stuff.
Well, Vanilla Bomb is really good. Let's see. So I think we'll make this the last one because we're a little over an hour and a half. I try to keep these around an hour and a half.
Okay.
So let's see what Noel has to say here. What kind of mind space do you have to put yourself in when gathering inspiration? I can see how it would be relaxing and meditative, but also I could see it stressing me out. That's fair.
Yeah, it's I think there's two different questions, right? So when I'm being inspired, it's super, just very natural. Like it's whatever it is that makes me happy, whatever it is that like sparks something within me. You all have those moments in your lives where you're just out doing something random and then something just hits you. It just makes you feel good, or it just stands out for some reason. We call them like core memories, right? Like you can look back on your childhood and be like, yo, this thing was a core memory. And it's really different for each person. I was just talking to somebody the other day who was talking about some drink that it was like only 30 cents and it was at a bodega down the street from his house. And I don't, geez, was it something I'd seen on TV or somebody I was talking to, but he was just describing like the taste of this thing. And he was like, yeah, it was a core memory for me. It wasn't expensive. It wasn't special. It just something sparked his inspiration. And that's what I work from is my core inspirations, my core memory. And it can be very stressful trying to work those things out because you have a thought in your mind. You have a target and you're trying to hit it. And sometimes you go through 100 experiments and not get close. And there's a little piece of me that like fires up and gets like furious and I want to start throwing stuff, but that's just the process. And what helps a little bit is I never feel really any pressure to put anything out. So if something takes me 2 years or never comes out, it's fine. Like I don't feel the pressure to release anything. But just for my own personal reasons, I get frustrated when I'm trying to achieve something I can't quite get it. I'm the type of person who like I'll lose sleep at night. I'll stay just thinking and experience. We'll be driving somewhere and I'll make a quick drive so that I can be on my phone, like just writing notes and brainstorming and until it's done.
That is the mind of a creative person. You can't turn it off until you achieve.
Yeah.
I totally get it. I can't, the sleepless nights is because you can't relax your mind.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that is. That's well said. Well, Mike, I think we're going to go ahead and stop the questioning here. I appreciate all the super chats and super stickers and great questions from you guys. But most importantly, Mike, I appreciate you coming on and sharing some education and some inspiration with us and some new information about what's upcoming with the brand and kind of the mission statement of the brand. Anything else you'd like to add?
It was such a pleasure to be able to talk to you like face to face. I mean, I know we're YouTube, but like, the guy who actually like gave us our very first shot, like you were our first reviewer. Like it was so much fun being here. I just really appreciate you. Thank you, dude.
The pleasure is absolutely mine. Absolutely mine. Because one of the things I've always, I guess, kind of prided myself on in many ways is I like to explore the indie spots and upcoming brands that seem like they have a lot to offer. And that's one of the things that's sparked, like with you, with Niles from City Rhythm, just Happy Land, may EJ rest in peace. Just at different levels, it all comes down to the energy I feel and get from who I'm speaking to makes me want to explore what they're trying to do. And that's basically what happened here. And I appreciate the kind words, and it has been my absolute pleasure and my honor to see how the brand is continuing to grow in the spotlight that Day 3 has been getting. Because I know you've made a lot of great relationships at this point as far as the online community. We mentioned Dave earlier, Justin, my man EQ. I mean, it goes on and on. Cuba. There's a bunch of really great content creators in the space that seem to be giving some good spotlight to Dave.
Just consider myself great. Like everyone's been so nice. Like, and I just, it's just very, very thankful for the way that everyone's treated us. Like we're, real thankful.
Well, good people deserve good things. I mean, you like I said, it's all about energies and aura and intent for me. And I'm always looking for that in people. And you definitely have a glaringly positive energy and aura. And I love the creativity here. Everything's original and quality and storytelling. That's a big thing for me when it comes to niche offerings, quality offerings. Tell me a story, paint me a picture. So when I'm smelling it, I can try to visually go there. And that's what happened with Deja Vu. I was walking through Dillard's as soon as I sprayed this fragrance.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Cool. So Mike, thank you so much for coming and spend some time with us today. Thank you for the code that you're offering to everyone. Again, it's not an affiliate code or anything. I don't earn any type of commission. TLTG20 will save you 20% for the next few weeks on Day 3 Fragrances website. If you get a discovery set, you will get emailed a coupon for $35 off a full bottle purchase, making your discovery set free essentially once you purchase a bottle. Like I said, any last words before we shut it down?
Yeah, I'm open and available to anybody. If any of your viewers have any questions, they want to hit me up, or they want to know about the fragrances or whatever, I'm an open book. The only people that work here at Day 3 are just family. So if you reach out to us, you're going to get myself, my wife, or my daughter, and we'll take good care of you. So, don't feel like you can't reach out to us. We're here for you.
They are definitely very accessible, great people, great brand. I love that the religion's at the core of it, because I'm a God-fearing man. I'm, not holy roller Bible thumping or anything, but I love the Lord, and I love to hear that from you as well, and anybody else in the chat. I'm not trying to preach to you, but just my beliefs and the way I try to look at life. So Mike, thank you once again. Thank you everybody in the chat. Definitely check out Day 3 Fragrances. Get some samples, try it out, grab a discovery set. Why not? I mean, you can't go to Chipotle for 2 people for $35. Just throwing that out there, and try some really great, unique, quality storytelling perfumes. So make sure to like this stream before you head out. Follow Day 3 Fragrances on Instagram. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Y'all have a good one.
See ya.